Welcome boys and girls, Christine here with one of the craziest campaigns that I've played to date in Warhammer 3. This is using a mod that converts the Immortal Empires campaign to the Warhammer 1 campaign map. Basically, here's how it works, very simple. It limits the territory that you can access. The territory is still there, but you cannot use the regions, you can't really effectively move from it, you'll take attrition, replenishment is reduced, so on and so forth. So no one's really going there, not except to a very limited extent, and even then it's severe punishment if you do so. So it's essentially the Warhammer 1 campaign map in Warhammer 3. Beyond that, the starting positions, the factions, both major and minor factions, are the same ones that were present in Warhammer 1. So you don't have, for instance, Kemmler starting in Blackstone Post, you don't have Festus, you don't have any of that. And you do have Manfred and Vlad side by side over here in Sylvania. So this has been pretty crazy. Also, these factions do get extra legendary lords. So for instance, Manfred will get Kemmler, will get Gorst, Archaon, who starts next to Vlad as the Dark Fortress, gets Sigvald and Kolek. The only one legendary lord that's been added since Warhammer 1 is Elspeth. That's here because she's in charge of Null. But outside of that, yeah, you get Volkmar and Gelt if you're playing Karl Franz over here. Or if you're not playing Karl Franz, you'll still get Volkmar and Gelt. And this campaign has been crazy. Typically speaking, in a campaign in Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires, you may have a couple of foes to deal with, but they are going to be limited to one extent or another. They're going to have one legendary lord for the most part. They're not necessarily going to pose a major threat. They're not going to be effective at conquering territory, all that. Now, a lot of people have chalked this up to AI issues. I have really come to realize playing this campaign, it's not really just AI issues. Yes, the AI does have questionable decisions. Like, for instance, I've been at war with Grimgor for a while, and he's been at war with Forgrim. He should have wiped out Forgrim by now, but he's been spending 42 turns just conquering all of it. He is very, very scary to deal with. Like, if you look at Grimgor right here with the number of stuff, the amount of stuff that he has here, I don't want to deal with this. I certainly hope Belegar is going to be able to stop him in this campaign, though. I have my doubts about that, considering the sheer insane number of armies that Grimgor does have in this campaign. Forgrim has been holding on, but he hasn't even managed to wipe out his initial faction. So there's some AI issues, but it's not just AI issues. It's also really the map. And we've seen different things from both Creative Assembly and from the Old World custom campaign mod. Like, this is a custom campaign, but it's not a custom map. It's the same map. We've seen different things, and a lot of those things haven't worked. Like in Realms of Chaos, it didn't work because probably distances were too great, and there were many things you could use against AI. Also, a lot of the baseline factions of Warhammer 3, the Realms of Chaos ones, were not really good. Then we've seen with Old World greater distances, lots of fights there, but not necessarily a significant challenge. This has been a nightmare. Let me explain why it's been a nightmare. So one of the things I've done is also enable a mod made by the same guy who made the map that really buffs up Archaon. So Warriors of Chaos are going to get a lot of higher end units. So he's got Chosen, he's got Chaos Warriors, he's got Chaos Spawn, he's got Chaos Knights. Every single one of his armies has those. Now, he still has limited armies, but he also will vassalize and confederate every other Chaos faction. So he's got every single legendary lord of the Warriors of Chaos from the entirety of Warhammer 3. So think of Valkia, Azazel, etc. He's got a lot of Dark Fortresses over here. And he's got both Wolfric and Trog to deal with. That's just threat number one. Now, whether or not Archaon can achieve this on his own is a different thing, but I think that mod in itself just shows that if the AI is capable of using the tools it has, like vassalization, confederation, it would be a much bigger threat. Imagine dealing with this kind of level of Archaon or Warriors of Chaos in your campaign, also a Warriors of Chaos that's actually able to upgrade its units. Let's just say it's a far bigger issue than in the base game. Still, the AI doesn't use its heroes in the best possible way. But that's just one problem. That's just the northern problem. Then you have Vlad and Manfred. So you have two mega factions right next to each other that I've been spending over 20 turns fighting in this campaign. Or rather, I've been fighting Vlad. And really, those are the only two major factions I've really been fighting. Archaon is more recent. So I've really been spending a lot of time just end turn button, sure, moving from territory, taking territory. Also, Mogr and Khazrak, like, they were a nuisance, but just really a nuisance. Though it took a while to deal with Mogr because he responds instantly, funnily enough. But I haven't really been able to take a lot of territory, or if I've been able to, I've had to sell it because, you know, I can't expand and deal with Norska while at the same time dealing with Vlad, dealing with Archaon, who just conquered all of Kislev, which in this mod starts united, so it's Prague basically that controls all of Kislev. No Katrin, no Boris, no Kostaltin, no Stankia. Maybe Katrin should be in charge of Kislev with all those legendary lords, would certainly make things more interesting, but that's the second issue. So I've been dealing with the hordes of vampire counts in this campaign. And when I say hordes, I mean hordes. Like, I've been able to maneuver around AI so that I didn't have to fight 4+ armies at the same time, but the AI was trying to catch me in that situation. I've also had Elspeth helping me out. So 2 mega factions, Manfred and Vlad, fighting against 2 other mega factions, myself and Elspeth. That's front number 2. Front number 3 has been the Greenskin. So Skarsnik, he starts in his Warhammer 1 position. He actually invaded the Reichland. I should probably get the Nemesis crown now that I see it. Well, I can see it anyway because, you know, I have vision due to alliance with Elspeth, but just haven't been paying attention. But Skarsnik invaded me. Bretonia might have invaded me. I do have alliance with them, but they've kind of just been chilling. So yeah, there are certainly issues with the AI, but look at Warzag and really look at Grimgor. Warzag actually invaded the Empire with like 3 full stacks. I beat him back in Averheim. Just really powerful army over here, and their powerful friends haven't been able to replace these handgunners because I did recruit Null Ironsides, and then I had to send them north because Archaon just vassalized the whole Norsko, so I was like, well, that's bad. So now I'm dealing with 3 separate fronts against 3 mega factions, or 3 mega alliances. That is insane. And the things that are happening, yes, my allies are not as useful as they could be, right? I mean, Albrecht has taken a lot of this territory. He's taken out quite a bit of things. The Fey Enchantress has actually conquered. Quite a bit of Athelorn, so maybe she's conquered Talson. She's dealt with Orion, which, yeah, she starts out with Orion. Weird Warhammer 1 decisions by Creative Assembly. But Bretonia has kind of been a non-factor for me when playing as a Karl Franz. But imagine if I was playing as Manfred or Vlad, they certainly wouldn't be a non-factor. If I was playing Archaon or any of the Chaos factions, if I was playing Archaon or if I was playing Norska, I would also have to deal with Bretonia. You can just ignore that situation. If you're playing the Dwarves, you may have different things to also worry about. But, like, look at Grimgor. He is scary. You know how scary Grimgor can get because he takes the entirety of the Mountains of Morn, but he does have a lot of legendary lords around him that might clip his wings? He doesn't have that. He didn't have Malagor, but yeah, Malagor was meat for Grimgor. So Grimgor has conquered pretty much the entirety of the Badlands, with the exception of Karazakrak, which is holding. It's probably been assaulted multiple times, but between Warzag and Grimgor, we have 3 different fronts. The amount of decisions I've had to make, the number of fights that I've ended up in, or situations, not necessarily fights individually, but situations where I could have just lost it all, has been very significant. I think I've played dozens of battles in this. I've been able to out-resolve a lot of them just because I build my armies properly, but I've had to use ambush tactics far more so than I've had to use in the baseline game. I've had to maneuver around the enemy around the campaign map. So even though I haven't necessarily played a lot of battles manually compared to what some people might think you should, but if we look at this situation, while I've won a lot of battles, and I haven't really lost a lot, I've been engaged throughout this entire process. It's not a question of how many battles you win or lose or anything like that. It's a question of engagement. Are you forced to make decisions? Are you forced to worry about different friends? Because in the base game, you're not. So what do I think is really happening here? Is it just the Warhammer 1 starting positions? To a degree, I think it is, sure. Is it the AI cheats Archaon has? Sure, could be like a mod that improves Archaon and really makes him a mega threat, though I think he still would be a threat, or Norska would be anyway, because no one would oppose him. Say what you will about Norska, this is pretty crazy, but Norska under Wulfric and Trog, or just under one of them, can be pretty scary, and this is pre-rework Norska. Wait until they do get reworked by Creative Assembly. So, what do I think is happening? Why do I think the AI is a bigger threat? Well, if you look at the base game, you have a situation in virtually every single campaign where you start a campaign, you have a province or two that you take, and then you're encountering another legendary lord. Now, you deal with that as a player, but a lot of the time, the AI can't deal with that. Like, they're either going to lose, or they're going to spend a significant amount of time to deal with their opponents, which means that by the time they can become a threat, you are so far ahead, regardless of playstyle, regardless if you're an aggressive conqueror like myself or not, you will end up far surpassing them. Because even if they do defeat some legendary lords, then they encounter others and others and others, and just creates a constant loop where the AI is constantly fighting battles with each other, but they're not gaining strength because they're losing armies, they're losing heroes before they get immortal. The only thing that they maintain constantly in their campaign is their legendary lords or some special heroes. Whereas you, when you're playing a campaign, usually you don't want to lose entire armies. You don't want to lose irreplaceable heroes, and even if you do lose heroes here and there, you know how to get them back, you know how to manage them. So the AI is not equipped for that. But while it would be better to improve the AI, it's also the question of threats. So if you remove the scenario that we have in the vanilla game, where every single faction is neighboring another major faction, then suddenly the AI becomes a far dicier proposition. For all the complaints that have existed about the AI, the game pacing, the cheats, etc., it clearly shows to me that in the appropriate circumstances, the AI of Warhammer 3 can give you a hell of a challenge. Like, to put it simply, in many campaigns that I've played of Warhammer 3, as Karl Franz, as the Empire, and I do think the Empire has problems, specifically with infantry. If you're dealing with warriors, chaos, greenskins, and vampires, yeah, you're going to have freaking issues, because range units powerful, cavalry powerful, but you do need good infantry to really dominate them. You don't have that as the Empire. So that is a limitation. But when we're looking at this, the situation here, I've been forced to make a lot of decisions, difficult decisions. I think it would be different. Some campaigns work better than others, but I think it clearly shows if you do give the AI the ability to grow and not have to spend the entire campaign just fighting each other, because it takes at least double the time for an AI faction in Immortal Empires to get to this level of strength that, say, Grimgor has at this point. Maybe not for him personally, though. It depends on if the Armor Gun is going to beat the crap out of him, Chaos Dwarfs, etc. It can happen, but it's going to be more consistent here that we're going to have bigger factions. They're going to have multiple legendary lords. They're going to have bigger longevity. And even when you defeat them to an extent, they're going to get their heroes back. They're going to get their lords back if they've leveled them up enough. Like, you look at Grimgor, for instance. It's not just a question of Grimgor. Like, he has a second Immortal Lord. He probably has some heroes that have some level. He has Azak. So the AI is capable of presenting a far bigger challenge dependent on the conditions set in the game. And the conditions of the Immortal Empires map are not great. They're not great in Realms of Chaos. They're not necessarily great in the Old World map. But even in the baseline map, just by removing certain factions and giving the AI space, and also limiting the space to some, or limiting the choices the player has to a certain extent, because one of the things you can use as a player in the base game, you can go to a major faction, take some of their territory, right, or take territory next to them, and just trade it. And major factions will have far more money than minor factions, so they'll agree to that, and you might get a very powerful allies. You can do that, But by removing these major factions, your power is limited, the AI power grows, and it's just a question of faction density, major faction density on the map. It's just too big for how the baseline map of Immortal Empires is. Everything's too crowded together. Just a thought. Costine signing out, and maybe some things that Creative Assembly should take note of going forward.